Introduction. The noise of life and the call to silence. There's a stillness some mornings, isn't there? The air cool, a soft breeze rustling through the maple trees outside your window. No phones buzzing yet. Just the world holding its breath. Then the day begins. Neighbors wave hello. Grandkids call from college. Emails chime about the next potluck at the community center. It's the soundtrack of a life well lived, one you've shaped over decades with care and courage. But sometimes, amid the hum of it all, a quiet longing stirs, a pull toward something simpler, a space to just be. Across America, from the redwoods of California to the quiet streets of Ohio, Buddhist teachings have found a home. In meditation rooms tucked into church basements, or sanghas meeting over coffee and pie. And ancient wisdom speaks to that longing. It comes from the Buddha, a teacher who sat beneath a tree 2,500 years ago and uncovered a truth that fits right into our lives today. Silence isn't just a break from the noise. It's a pathway to peace. For those of us who've walked this earth a while, carrying memories of joy and scars of loss, this wisdom feels like a gift. It's a chance to find in light that deep, steady calm Vietnamese Buddhists cherish, a serenity that wraps around us like a familiar shawl. This isn't about leaving behind the chatter of a family dinner or the warmth of a friend's visit. It's about finding a stillness that deepens those moments, letting you hear the laughter of a grandchild with a clearer heart, or sit with a loved one's story in a fuller way. In the American Buddhist way, where prayer flags flutter beside porch swings and mindfulness blends with daily routines, we're offered 5 moments when silence becomes our guide. These aren't distant ideals. They are part of life's fabric. The flare of anger, the murmur of gossip, the clash of conflict, the weight of others' pain, and the quiet ache we sometimes carry alone. We've all felt them, whether over breakfast at the diner or in the stillness of a late-night thought. So here we are, gathered as if in a cozy circle, maybe at the local Buddhist center, maybe just in your living room, a mug of chamomile tea steaming nearby. We're not chasing complicated rules or far-off promises. We're sharing a story of how silence can soften the edges of our years, bringing us back to a peace that's always been there. This journey will weave through 5 teachings, each one a step toward a life more mindful, more whole, more at rest. It's for us, grandparents, retirees, elders, who know the worth of a quiet breath and are ready to let it lead us home. Let's step into it together, with open hearts and listening ears, ready to hear the wisdom silence holds. The power of silence, a foundational concept. After that first step into the quiet, away from the buzz of phones and the chatter of daily life, there's a question that lingers. What is this silence we're reaching for? It's not the hush of an empty room or the stillness after everyone's gone to bed. No, it's something richer, something alive. Down the road at the Buddhist center in town, where gray-haired folks like us gather on Wednesday nights, a teacher once shared a saying from Thich Nhat Hanh, the gentle monk who brought Zen to our shores. Silence is essential. We need silence just as much as we need air, just as much as plants need light. If our minds are crowded with words and thoughts, there is no space for us. It stuck with me, that idea. Silence as a need, not a luxury, especially now, when the years have taught us how full a mind can get. Think about it. All those years raising kids, working long hours, tending to neighbors or a garden, our heads filled up like an old attic, packed with worries, plans, and memories. There was the time you stayed up late fretting over a doctor's call, or the morning you replayed an argument with a friend over coffee at the diner. Life's noise doesn't just come from outside. It grows inside us too, a tangle of thoughts that keeps us spinning. But here's where Buddhism steps in. like a friend offering a seat on the porch swing. It says silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's a presence, a wide open field where we can breathe again, where we can find ourselves amid the clutter. This isn't the silence of loneliness, the kind that creeps in when the house feels too big. It's a silence that hums with life, a gateway to peace, to mindfulness, to knowing who we are beneath the rush. In America, we've made it our own. You see it in the meditation cushions scattered across a rec center floor, or the way a retiree in Oregon sits quietly by her bird feeder, letting the world settle. It's a practice that fits right into our lives, whether we're sipping tea in a Chicago apartment or watching the sunset from a Kansas porch. Silence, Buddhism tells us, is a tool, a way to listen, not just to the chickadees outside or the creak of the rocker, but to the soft voice within, the one that's been waiting patiently all these years. And that's the beauty of it. This silence isn't passive, like sitting out a storm. It's active, intentional, a choice we make to clear the noise and make room for what matters. Back in the introduction, we talked about those 5 moments: anger, gossip, conflict, others' pain, our own, where silence becomes our guide. Well, this is why it works. It's the ground we stand on, the deep well we draw from. When we're angry, it's silence that cools the fire. When words turn sharp with slander, it's silence that keeps us steady. In the thick of a fight, or the weight of sorrow, it's silence that opens the door to something wiser, something kinder. Take a moment to feel that. You're sitting there, maybe with the grandkids' photos on the wall behind you, the clock ticking softly. Life's been loud, beautifully loud, but it's also been heavy. Buddhism doesn't ask us to run from that. Instead, it hands us this gift, a silence that holds us, that lets us hear the heartbeat beneath the years. It's not about being a monk in a far-off temple. It's about being you, right here, finding space amid the storm. And as we move forward, tracing those 5 sacred situations, this power of silence will light our way step by step toward a peace that feels like home. So let's keep going, together, into the heart of what it means to be still. Silence in the face of anger. There's a fire that flares up sometimes, isn't there? You're sitting at the kitchen table, the morning paper spread out, steam rising from your coffee, when something sets it off. Maybe it's a call from a neighbor who's pruned your shared hedge too far, or a memory of that time your son-in-law forgot your birthday again. The heat rises, your chest tightens, words sharpen on your tongue, ready to spill out like sparks. We've all felt it, that rush of anger, quick as a match strike, burning through the calm we just started to settle into. Life's long road has taught us how easy it is to catch fire, especially when the years have piled up expectations and old wounds. But then comes this Buddhist wisdom, slipping in like a cool breeze through an open window. It doesn't scold us for feeling that heat. Anger's human after all. Instead, it offers a different way. Stay silent when you're angry. Not out of weakness, but strength. Back in that cozy circle at the Buddhist center, or maybe just in your own quiet corner, we talked about silence as a power, a space to breathe amid the clutter of life. Here's where it shines brightest. When anger grips us, silence becomes our anchor, holding us steady so we don't drift into words we'll regret or actions that sting long after the flame dies down. Think of it like this. You're out in the backyard, weeding the flower beds, when a storm rolls in. Dark clouds, thunder rumbling. Anger's like that storm, born from wanting things our way or pushing against what we can't stand. Buddhism calls it attachment and aversion, clinging to how the head should look, or bristling at a slight we didn't deserve. Add a dash of ignorance, not seeing how everything shifts, how nothing's permanent. And there's the spark. But silence, that's the shelter. It's stepping inside, shutting the door, and letting the rain fall without chasing after it. You take a breath, feel the air fill your lungs, and watch the storm from a safe distance. There's a story from the Buddha's time they share at the Sangha, a tale of two arrows. The first arrow hits when something hurts us. The neighbor's clippers, the forgotten birthday. It stings, no denying that. The second arrow, though, that's the one we shoot ourselves, letting anger twist the pain deeper with a sharp word or a cold shoulder. Violence, it stops that second arrow cold. It's not about pretending the first didn't land. It's about choosing not to make it worse. You sit there, coffee cooling, and instead of dialing that neighbor to give them a piece of your mind, you let the silence settle. You ask yourself, what's this really about? Why is it burning me up? And in that pause, the fire starts to fade. This isn't just theory, it's lived wisdom. Down in Texas, an old-timer at a meditation retreat told me how he used to snap at his wife over burnt toast, words flying before he could catch them. Then he tried this silence trick, bit his tongue, took a walk around the block, came back, and the toast didn't matter anymore. What did was the smile she gave him over the table. That's the gift here. Silence shields us from the fallout, harsh words that echo in a quiet house, bridges burned with folks we love. It keeps the peace, not just out there, but in here, where it counts most. And it's more than holding back. In that stillness, we listen, to the heartbeat slowing, to the thoughts untangling. Maybe the hedge isn't the point. Maybe it's the loneliness of a neighbor who doesn't know how to say hello. Maybe the birthday slip was just a busy day, not a slight. Silence opens our eyes, turns anger into understanding, maybe even compassion. It's a practice, sure, one that takes a little grit, especially when the blood's up. But for us, who've seen enough years to know how fast words can wound, it's a chance to soften the edges, to step out of the storm and into something gentler. So as we walk this path together, past the power of silence and into its lessons, this first step stays with us. Anger will come, as it always does. But now we've got a tool, a quiet strength to meet it with. It's the beginning of something bigger, a thread weaving through gossip, conflict, and borrow still ahead. For now, though, let's sit with this. A cup of coffee, a deep breath, and the peace of choosing silence over the fire. Silence in the face of gossip and slander. The sting of anger fades with a breath, a pause, a choice to let silence hold us steady. But then there's another sound creeping in. Quieter, slyer, like whispers drifting over the fence at a Saturday barbecue. You're there, flipping burgers, the sun warm on your shoulders. When it starts, did you hear about Mary down the street? They say she's been sneaking extra bingo winnings. Or maybe it's at the senior center, knitting needles clicking. When someone leans over, I heard Tom's grandkid got into trouble again. Big trouble. It's gossip, that old familiar tune, weaving through our days like crabgrass through a lawn. And slander's not far behind, sharpening those whispers into something meaner, something that peace. We've all been there, ears perked, maybe even lips moving, adding a little fuel to the fire. It's tempting, isn't it? A juicy tidbit feels like a spark of connection, a way to pass the time. But Buddhism steps in here, gentle as a hand on your arm, and says, stay silent when you hear gossip and slander. Not to hush us up like scolded kids, but to free us from the tangle it weaves. We talked about silence cooling anger's flame. Well, here it's a shield, guarding us from words that wound deeper than we might think, out there and in our own hearts. Picture it like this. You're at the diner, pie slice half eaten. When the chatter turns sharp, someone's reputation's on the table, sliced up with every I heard, and they say. Buddhism calls this a break from right speech, that promise to speak truth, kindness, and what's worth saying. Gossip and slander? They're the opposite. Half-truths or outright lies, born from envy or an itch to feel bigger by making someone else small. Maybe it's jealousy over Mary's bingo luck, or resentment that Tom's family isn't picture perfect. Whatever the root, those words spread like spilled coffee, staining everything they touch. Trust between neighbors, peace in a community, even the quiet in our own souls. Now, silence doesn't mean turning away with a sniff, pretending you're above it all. It's subtler, stronger. It's setting the knitting down, taking a sip of tea, and letting the talk roll past like clouds over the plains. You don't join in. No. Well, I heard this too. Or, can you believe it? And something shifts. The air lightens. Maybe the gossip fizzles when it hits your quiet, like a match dropped in otter. At a retreat up in Colorado, an old gal told me how she used to love the rumor mill until she saw it break a friend's spirit over a lie about her savings. I stopped talking, she said, and started listening to what I was feeling instead. Turned out, I was just lonely. Silence showed her that. That's the magic of it. When we hold our tongues, we're not just sparing Mary or Tom. We're sparing ourselves. Buddhism talks about karma, how every word ripples back to us. Gossip ties us to negativity, jealousy, bitterness, the weight of judging others. Silence cuts that knot. It's a chance to look inside. Why do I want to chime in? What's stirring me up? Maybe it's boredom, or a grudge from years back. That pause turns the mirror on us. And in a small town or a tight-knit group, it's a quiet signal too. Gossip doesn't belong here. Folks notice. They might even hush up themselves, caught by the calm you carry. It's practical too, for us who've seen enough seasons to know how words stick. Remember that time a rumor about your pie recipe being store-bought got around? Laughed it off, sure, but it pricked a little. Silence spares others that prick, and us the guilt of passing it on. Down in Georgia, a Sangha leader once said, "Words are arrows, silence keeps them in the quiver." It's a choice to build something better. A neighborhood where trust grows, a circle where kindness holds. And as we move along this path, from anger's heat to gossip's whisper, silence keeps threading through, ready to meet the next challenge, conflict, with the same steady grace. Silence in the midst of conflict. The whispers of gossip fade when silence steps in, leaving the air a little cleaner, the heart a little lighter. But then the wind shifts, and a different storm brews. You're at the family reunion, picnic tables groaning under potato salad and lemonade. When it starts, a sharp word between your daughter and her cousin, over who's hosting Thanksgiving this year. Voices rise, forks clatter, and suddenly the afternoon's warmth feels brittle. Or maybe it's closer to home, a spat with your spouse over the thermostat, each of you digging in. The room thick with tension. Conflicts like that. An old companion we've met 1,000 times, stirring up the peace we've worked so hard to find. Buddhism doesn't blink at this. It knows we're human. That clashes come with the territory. Differences in how we see things, what we value, what we want. But it offers a steady hand. Stay silent in the midst of conflict. Not to duck out or give up, but to stand in a wiser place. We've seen silence tame anger's fire, shield us from gossip's barbs. Now it's a bridge spanning the gap between us and the ones we're tangled with. It's not about winning or being right. It's about holding space for something deeper to unfold. Picture a late fall day, leaves crunching underfoot as you walk the dog down the lane. A neighbor's barking about your overgrown shrubs, voice sharp, finger pointing. The old you might have barked back, defensive, loud, ready to stake your ground. But silence changes the game. It's like pulling the plug on a radio mid-song. Everything stops. You nod, let the words land, and take a slow breath, the kind that fills your chest and settles your bones. In that quiet, you hear more than the complaint. You catch the tiredness in his tone, the way his shoulders sump. Silence isn't hiding. It's listening, really listening, to what's beneath the noise. There's a rhythm to it, this choice. At a meditation group in town, an elder shared how she used to lock horns with her sister over politics. Thanksgiving turned into a battlefield, mashed potatoes forgotten. One year, she tried silence instead. Didn't argue, didn't nod along, just sat, sipped her cider, let the words fly past. Her sister softened eventually, and they ended up talking about their dad's old jokes instead. That's the gift. Silence breaks the tug of war. It's not avoidance. It's a pause that lets everyone breathe, a chance to see the other side without the haze of heat. Buddhism ties this to mindfulness, to compassion, to letting go of that need to be the victor. Conflict feeds on reaction. Your jab, their counter, back and forth, until the table's overturned. Silence cuts the cord. It's not about swallowing your feelings. It's about holding them gently, giving yourself room to ask, what's this fight really about? Where can we meet instead of clash? Maybe the thermostat's less about temperature and more about feeling heard. Maybe Thanksgiving's a tug between tradition and change. In that stillness, you find common ground, or at least a way to keep the love intact. For us, who've weathered decades of disagreements, some small, some that left scars, this feels like grace. We know how fast a harsh word can echo, how long a rift can linger. Silence in conflict's a balm, cooling the sting before it spreads. Down south, a Sangha friend put it plain. It's like stepping out of the ring. You don't have to fight to win. And as we carry this thread forward, past anger, past gossip, now through conflict's rough waters, Silence keeps guiding us, ready to meet the next shore. The suffering we see in others and the peace it can bring there too. Silence in times of others' sufferings, conflict settles when silence weaves its bridge, softening sharp edges and mending what's frayed. But then, life turns another corner, and a heavier shadow falls. You're at the porch railing, late afternoon sun dipping low, when your neighbor shuffles over, eyes red, voice trembling, telling you her daughter's been in the hospital again. Or maybe it's a call from your old friend, the one you've known since the kids were small, breaking the news that his wife's not coming home this time. Suffering lands close, doesn't it? A quiet ache that sits in the chest, urging you to say something, anything, to ease their pain. We've walked this road enough to know that instinct, that will to fix what's broken with words. Buddhism meets us here, soft as a whisper on the wind, and offers a different path. Stay silent when you witness the suffering of others, not out of coldness or distance, but out of a deep, steady kindness. We've seen silence tame anger, hush gossip, calm conflict. Now it's a gift, a way to hold space for someone else's hurt. It's not about having the right answer or filling the air with comfort. It's about being there, fully there, letting your presence say what words can't. Compassion's the heartbeat of this teaching. And for those of us who've lived long enough to carry our own scars, it feels like a truth we've always known. Think of a rainy afternoon, the kind where the world slows down. You're at the kitchen counter, slicing apples for a pie, when your granddaughter drops by, shoulders slumped, voice cracking about a breakup that's left her raw. The old habit kicks in. Offer advice, tell her it'll pass, maybe share a story from your own young days. But silence shifts the air. You set the knife down, slide a chair close, and just sit, listening as her words spill out, halting and messy. The rain taps the window, and in that quiet, she finds room to breathe, to feel heard. It's not fixing science, it's witnessing, letting her pain have its moment without rushing it away. That's what the Sangha down the road taught me one evening, over tea and a flickering candle. A woman there, hair silver like mine, talked about her son's long illness, how folks kept piling on platitudes. He'll pull through, stay strong, until she couldn't hear herself think. Then a friend came, sat beside her on the couch, and said nothing, just smiled. That silence, she said, was the only thing that held me up. It's a lesson in letting go of the need to solve, to control. Suffering's not a puzzle we can piece together. It's a river, and silence lets it flow, respects its current, honors the one riding it. For us, who've watched friends fade and families shift, this hits home. We know words can stumble, too thin to carry the weight, too quick to miss the mark. Silence doesn't stumble. It's steady, like the oak out back that stood through storms. It says, I see you, I'm with you, without crowding their space or claiming their hurt as ours to mend. At a retreat once, a teacher put it simple. Your quiet's a mirror. They see their strength in it. And isn't that the gift we want to give? Not a lecture, but a hand to hold. A stillness that says they're not alone. This isn't always easy. Our hearts ache to lift their load. But Buddhism trusts us with this. Sometimes the kindest thing is to listen, to share the weight without shaping it. As we walk this path, through anger's heat, gossips tangle, conflicts clash, silence keeps unfolding, now cradling others' sorrow. And it's leading us somewhere deeper still, to the quiet we hold for ourselves when suffering knocks at our own door. For now, though, it's enough to see, to basui, to let silence speak where words fall short. Silence in times of our own suffering, the quiet we offer others in their pain, is a tender thread, stretching across porches and kitchen tables, holding us close to their struggles. But then the light shifts, and that same shadow falls inward. It's late evening, the house still, a single lamp glowing as you sit with a cup of tea gone cold. The ache creeps in. Maybe it's the creak in your knees that wasn't there a decade ago, or the hollow where a loved one's voice used to be. Could be a memory of a winter night when the news came, sharp and final, or just the slow drip of days that feel heavier than they used to. Suffering finds us all, doesn't it? A companion we didn't invite but can't turn away, settling into the corners of a life well worn. Buddhism doesn't flinch from this. It sees the hurt, nods to it like an old friend, and hands us a simple truth. Stay silent when you're suffering, not to bottle it up or hide from the world, but to cradle it gently, to let it breathe. We've walked with silence through anger's blaze, gossip's snare, conflict's storm, and others' sorrow. Now it turns soft, a refuge for our own bruised hearts. This isn't about running to the phone or spilling it all at the senior center. It's about sitting with yourself in the stillness, finding a peace that doesn't need words to hold it up. Picture a frost-kissed morning, the yard blanketed white, steam curling from your breath as you step outside. The pain's there, sharp in your chest, dull in your bones, and the reflex is to call someone, to explain it away. But silence beckons instead. You settle on the porch swing, the creak of the chains a steady rhythm, and let the hurt settle too. No need to name it, no rush to push it out. Just you and the cold air, the quiet wrapping around like a shawl. In that space, the weight doesn't vanish, but it shifts. You feel it, raw and real. And something else stirs, something steady, something yours. They talk about this at the Sangha, over warm cider and flickering light. A man there, eyes lined with years, told us about the months after his wife passed. Friends kept urging him to talk, to join the card game, to keep busy. But one night, he sat alone by the fire. No radio, no voices, just the crackle of logs. I didn't fight it, he said. I let the silence hold me. And I found her there, not gone, just quiet. That's the heart of it. Suffering's part of the deal. Buddhism calls it dukkha, the ache woven into living. Silence doesn't erase it. It opens a door to sit with it, to see it clear, to find the strength that's been waiting underneath. For us, who've carried enough seasons to know peace and longing, this feels like coming home. We've spent years fixing, explaining, pushing through. Now silence offers a softer way. It's not weakness, it's wisdom, letting the hurt be without dressing it up for someone else. In that stillness, truths unweighed. This pain won't last forever, just like the frost melts by noon. This life's tied to everyone else's, a thread in the weave. At a retreat once, a teacher said, "Silence is where you meet yourself, broken, wholly, all of it. And in meeting it, there's unlaki, that deep warmth, easing slowly like dawn after a long night." This takes practice, sure. Our hands itch to dial a friend. Our minds race to fill the void. But Buddhism trusts us to lean in, to find solace in the quiet. As we trace this path, anger, gossip, conflict, others' pain, and now our own, silence becomes the steady beat, the pulse that carries us through. It's been our shield, our bridge, our gift to others. Here, it's our sanctuary, a place to rest, to heal, to be. And with that, we've walked the 5 steps, each one lighting the way to a peace that holds us, steady and true. Conclusion: the transformative power of silence. The silence we've found in our own suffering lingers, doesn't it? Like the last note of a hymn fading into the stillness of a Sunday dusk. It settles deep, holding us through the ache and the healing. We've walked a long road together, through the flare of anger at the kitchen table, the whispers of gossip over the fence, the clash of voices at the reunion, the quiet weight of a neighbor's tears, and now the soft refuge of our own heavy moments. Each step, each pause, has been guided by this steady companion. Vigilance. Not a hollow quiet, but a living presence, weaving through our days like a thread pulled tight and true. Out here, where Buddhist centers dot the landscape from coastal towns to rolling plains, this wisdom feels like it's always belonged. It's not locked away in ancient scrolls or distant monasteries. It's alive in the creak of a porch swing, the flicker of a candle at the sangha, the hush of a frost-kissed dawn. Buddhism brought us 5 lessons, 5 chances to lean into silence, and they've unfolded like petals on a late blooming rose. Anger cooled, gossip faded, conflict softened, others' pain found a witness, and our own hurt met a gentle embrace. Each time, silence wasn't just a pause. It was a choice, a strength, a way to live with open hearts. Think of that first morning, coffee in hand, when anger sparked over a pruned hedge. Silence stepped in, steadying your breath, saving the day from sharper words. Or the barbecue, where whispers about bingo winnings dissolved into the calm of your quiet nod. The family reunion, tense with raised voices, eased when you listened instead of argued. The neighbor's trembling story found solace in your stillness, and the cold night of your own grief warmed with a peace words couldn't touch. This isn't passivity, it's power, the kind we've earned through years of living, loving, losing. It's right speech holding our tongues, compassion lifting our spirits, non-attachment loosening our grip on what doesn't serve. For us, who've seen decades turn and seasons shift, this feels like a harvest. Life's been loud, beautifully loud, with kids' laughter, friends' stories, the hum of a full house. But it's been heavy too, with burdens we've carried alone. Silence gathers it all, the joy, the sorrow, and makes room for unlack, that deep peace that settles like dew on the grass. At the Sangha, they say it's the eightfold path, unfolding in our steps. Mindfulness in the pause, kindness in the quiet, wisdom in the letting go. We're not monks under a Bodhi tree, We're grandparents, retirees, elders, finding our way on porches and pews, in small towns and city corners. And here's the beauty. This silence doesn't end. It's not a lesson learned and shelved. It's a rhythm, a heartbeat, carrying us forward. Next time the phone rings with bad news, or a friend leans close with a rumor, we'll know what to do. We'll sit, breathe, let the stillness hold us. It's a gift we give ourselves and everyone around. A softer world, a kinder one, stitched together by the quiet we've claimed. Down the road, a teacher once said over tea, silence is the space where suffering fades and peace begins. We've lived that now, step by step, and it's ours to keep. So as the sun dips low, casting gold across the yard, let's rest here a while. The journey's complete, but the story goes on, lived out in every breath, every pause, every moment we choose to be still. We've found it, haven't we? A life more mindful, more whole, more at peace, wrapped in the gentle, transformative power of silence. And in that stillness, we're home.